When it comes to purchasing video production equipment, we all fall into the trap of buying the latest camera gear or camera accessories. And I've been there, and I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money. But what I can share with you is how to invest into video production gear that will outlast any camera. In this video, I'm going to be telling the story on how I personally invested into a lighting system over a cinema camera and how that's benefited us over the past 2 years. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm actually going to show you how I use these lights in common video production as well as some of the commercials that we've shot. If we go back 2 years ago, in my personal kit, I had a Sony a7S III for video and an a7 III strictly for photo. The a7S III still to this day is an amazing camera, but I was looking to step in the direction of becoming an owner and operator of a cinema camera. And at that time, the camera I was looking at was the Sony FX6. I was looking for features such as XLR inputs, built-in ND, and a cinema-style camera body. At this time, I thought the FX6 was a perfect fit for that. But if we look at myself and advancing my career as a DP, this is more of a lateral step than actually leveling up. The FX6 is an amazing camera, but with the system I already own, in addition to all the accessories, I technically had workarounds for all these features I wanted. The FX6 would just package everything nicely, and I would be spending a lot of money for a slight upgrade. I was having conversations with a lot of people at this time in terms of this topic, and what I came to the realization and conclusion of is that lighting makes a great image and not necessarily a camera. To become a better cinematographer, the one thing that has helped me the most is to practice lighting, and more specifically, lighting tight spaces. What I was missing on a lot of jobs that Tenfold was doing was a set of lights that I could rig up out of the way, control them easily, and use them as possible practical light sources. And a system that could solve all these problems is a good set of tube lights, and more specifically the Astera Titan tubes. Before I buy anything, I like to test things out, and I rented out a set of Astera Pixel tubes to see if they were even worth the price. I got in contact with a local rental house and used them for a job, and I absolutely love the flexibility and capability of these lights. So after that, I picked up a set of Titan tubes, a few attachment pieces, a transmitter, and a dedicated iPad to control them. So in summary, I bought a set of lights instead of an FX6. And if you would say that to me 4 years ago, I would say that is a terrible investment of money. But I am so glad that statement is wrong. Over the past 2 years, I've used these Titan tubes on 95% of the commercial sets I've been on. The main reason I love to use these lights is that they are pretty soft with built-in diffusion, the amount of output, color accuracy, and wireless as well as DMX control. There are many use cases for these lights, but I can sum it up in 3 scenarios. The first being is lighting small spaces and being able to tuck in lights where I wouldn't be able to before. Practical light sources when I want the viewer to see the light. And the last is being color play, where I want to key with RGB light or add splashes of blue to the shadows as an example with accurate colors. These lights provide all that and more, and honestly have leveled up how we light our commercial work. When it comes to owning equipment, especially camera equipment, you have to look at how that investment is going to do over time. And when it comes to cameras specifically, it's like owning a car. When you put a couple miles on it or take it right off the lot, its value goes down significantly. Looking at lighting, and especially a system that is industry standard, it holds its value a lot better and can be capitalized on when it comes to renting out to make some money on the side. If you look at Toronto, for example, there are a lot of people who own cameras, but not a lot of people who own lighting systems, and especially ones that you used in movies, commercials, and TV shows. Although I haven't made back all my money on external rentals, Tenfold has benefited more than the price tag of these lights in terms of the work that we have been able to produce. Rather than going over the technical specs of these lights, I'd rather show you how we use these lights in some of our commercials that we shot. The first commercial that we're going to be looking at was for a development property, and we're in a club scene, so we wanted to push some color into this, and this is where the Titan tubes shine in terms of color play. Our main key light here was 2 Titan tubes rigged overhead, and then to soften that up, we had some magic cloth, which is around 1 stop of diffusion, diffusing all our light from those tubes. And then in order to create a shadow side in the front, we had these tubes biased this way under our talent right here. And this was just to add some shadow to the main talents that what you would see in the front of the frame. So this is why you get shadow on his face. There's shadow on the back here, and it just adds nice contrast to the whole image. Because when you're top lighting things, this is going to highlight the high parts of someone's face or exactly what you're keying. So you have to be careful with that. I like to use soft sources whenever I'm top lighting things, because otherwise it kind of gives the talent like raccoon eyes and it's not very flattering. And then for this scene, I wanted to add some color separation, and the way I did that is kind of in 3 stages. So we have our key light in the front here, and then we had the blue top light here, which was in the club, so we really lucked out on that. And then to push a different color into the shadows, we actually have the red back here. So there were some strip lights, which you can kind of see back here, and then going along the edges of the roof, but this wasn't enough output. So we matched those edge lights using another set of Titan tubes right there. And then we pushed red into the shadows just to add those 3 layers of color. Our next production that we're going to look at was a commercial for Sportsnet, and this was called Black Rock. And then this is another top lit scenario here. So we have 4 Titan tubes rigged up at the top, and then this is all shooting down. And because the lights are so far away, we didn't use any diffusion material. And also another thing is we didn't want to spread all that light. But if you just use the Titan tubes as they are, they do spill a lot of light everywhere. So we had to use something called a snap grid. And then if you open up any of your softboxes that you own, there's a grid material that's usually connected to the front of softbox. And this does the same thing as in terms of killing the spill. So you can imagine like these side skirts on all the Titan tubes, and then this just kills all the spill going on our wall, on this pillar, even back up into the ceiling. So we get all the light going directly on our talent and not spilling anywhere else. As you can see, this is top lit, so we're highlighting the high parts of their talent's faces. In this situation, it works for the wides, but if we were to move in on this strictly without changing the lighting setup or adding anything else, this would be pretty unflattering, as you can see on our talent back here, because of you can't see any details of his eyes or the bottom of his face. I'm going to move into the Titan in the next scene that we're going to be looking at, and then we can see how we solve that problem. But in addition to the Titan tubes, we use some small lights, some small little panel lights, any ones will do, but we specifically use the aperture lights. And then we added some splash of color back into the actual trophy case back here. And then we kind of set them pointing and shooting up, so you get a little bit of splash here as well on the wall. And this is what we like to add to a lot of our images. It's called salt and pepper or checkerboard. So you have some light, dark spaces that you're looking kind of in between. When we moved into the tights here, that we ran into the exact problem. So again, we have our 4 lights at the top, and then this is kind of off at a bias because it's over the center of the table. And then what we actually had to do is add a bounce board down here, and then that bounced all the light right up into his face. So it gives us a nice key light on this side of his face. Then if you look on the shadow side, we get some nice fall off here. And again, nice checkerboard of dark and light. And then because we have those grids on the lights, we're getting no spill on our back wall here. And if we look at our talent on camera right, you obviously just looking at the scene, this frame specifically, you don't know what it is, but we have some preference back to the wide that we shot. So you get the nice details of that. And then if you look back here, this is a stairwell, and this was lit with natural daylight. And the reason this looks blue is because we rated our camera at 4400 Kelvin, and then that pushes daylight into a little more blue color, and then we pushed it more in post with our colorist. Last project we're going to be looking at was a spec project we did, and we shot this on the Sony FX6, and this was an example of using color play and practicals as well. So this was on a rooftop gym. And we wanted to take advantage of the racks that were set up here. So we attached some Titan tubes with some magnets, and the magnets are the best thing when it comes to using tube lights, and especially these Titan tubes. So we have them all there, using those as our practical sources, and then also gives us a nice hair light to our subject here. And then on camera right here, we actually have a set of 2 lights, and this is somebody holding them by hand, and then set to a red color. And then that's giving us that hard edge and then acting as a key light. So a lot of these scenes were lit strictly by tubes because it's a very versatile piece of kit. And I like to use this when we're doing any type of color play because the colors are very accurate, and then I can fine tune them easily if I want more orange or a different type of red specifically. And this is our tight of their subject. So if you can imagine that overhead tube is right above our subject, which is key lighting straight from the top. And if you look up here on her head, it's a bit harsh, but as we slightly go down, and especially on her shoulders, it's a lot softer because it's further away. And then this was something that we were kind of working on the fly and getting a bunch of shots, but we could have diffused it, but also it kind of suits the look that we're going for. And then our key light here is those 2 tubes that someone is just simply holding set to that red color. And then that's providing all that red here on her face. This is kind of a look, and this is what we're going for because it was more of a gym style and sports thing, and I like to randomly splash some colors of red. It doesn't really make sense in terms of why there's red there, but it was just a commercial and spec that we were making. I just want to showcase how versatile tube lights are, and especially with the Titans, when you get a set of 8, you can put them anywhere, and there's a lot of times where I've used all 8 in a full set and gotten amazing results. The overall point of this video is not to get sucked into owning the latest and greatest cinema camera, but to invest your money into gear, spaces, or service that will make you a lot more money in the long run. I hope this video helped you and gave you some insight in terms of investing money into equipment, because I wish I had this video when I started my cinematography journey. If you have anything you bought or you related to this story with a similar one that you have, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video.